He broke off our engagement with 7 words, and by midnight I had lost my home, my savings, and every plan I had built my life around. 16 days before my wedding, Derek Sullivan looked at me across a cafe table and said, "I cannot marry you, Claire." He was leaving me for Vanessa Kane, daughter of a billionaire investor, and he even asked for the ring back, calling it a family heirloom. I slid it off my shaking hand, thanked him for his honesty, and walked out with nothing but my pride in pieces. When I got home, my things were already packed in suitcases by the door, sorted neatly as if I were being returned to sender. My savings were gone into a wedding that no longer existed. I had less than $100 and nowhere to sleep. So I called Dorothy, my old foster mother, and she took me in without a single question, wrapping a blanket around me like she had when I was 13 and broken from another failed placement. 3 days later, my charge nurse Nadine pulled me aside at the hospital with an offer that sounded like an escape hatch. A reclusive tech founder named Nathan Cole, paralyzed after a ski accident, needed a live-in nurse. Every caregiver before me had quit within 2 weeks. The pay was triple what I made, the isolation was total, and I had nothing left to lose. I flew out that same week to a glass and steel mansion carved into a cliffside, and I signed the contract before I even met him. Nathan was cold, sharp-tongued, and furious at the world. He mocked me the way he mocked every nurse before me, certain I would quit like the rest. But I did not flinch, and slowly, something between us shifted. Then, one stormy night, I caught him standing, gripping parallel bars in the gym, forcing his legs to hold his weight in complete secrecy. He had been hiding his recovery from everyone, terrified that the moment people saw progress, they would expect miracles and abandon him when he could not deliver. I promised to keep his secret. And from then on, I trained beside him every morning before sunrise. Weeks in, I overheard his business partner Marcus Reyes on the phone, plotting with someone named Isabel Kane to seize control of Nathan's company through a hidden shell corporation. My blood ran cold at the name Kane. It was too close to Vanessa to be coincidence. That night I told Nathan everything, including my own connection to the Kane family through Derek, and for the first time, he actually listened. The next morning he handed me proof. Marcus had been quietly transferring ownership of his company for months, betting that a broken man in a wheelchair would never notice. Nathan chose not to run. He chose to fight. Every night for a week, we sat together poring over contracts, bank records, and forged documents, building a case strong enough to bury the men who thought they had already won. Then he called an emergency board meeting, let Marcus believe the surrender was coming, and got dressed in a tailored suit for the first time since his accident. He practiced walking with a cane, 10 steps, then 20, because he wanted the board to see the truth with their own eyes. We walked into that boardroom together, and the room went dead silent. Marcus was there. Isabel Kane was there. And sitting right beside her was Derek. Nathan walked straight to the head of the table, laid out every piece of evidence, and dismantled Marcus's betrayal in front of the entire board. When Isabel sneered and asked what I had to do with any of it, Nathan looked at me and told the room I was the reason he was standing at all. The vote was unanimous. Marcus was removed. Every fraudulent contract was nullified. Nathan got his company and his life back. In the months after, that cold glass mansion slowly turned into a home. Nathan cooked terrible dinners once a week and burned the rice every single time. And I sat on the kitchen island laughing at him without an ounce of guilt for the first time in years. I passed my certification to open my own practice. He walked further every week until the wheelchair sat unused in a corner, forgotten. One night he handed me a small black box with a simple gold ring inside and told me he was not asking me to save him, only asking me to keep walking beside him because with me, he remembered exactly who he was. Derek texted me once after that, 2 lines asking if I was okay. I never answered because I did not need to anymore. On his birthday, Nathan and I walked a quiet beach at sunset. His hand in mine, no cane, no chair, no ghost left between us. He asked if I thought we would ever go back to who we used to be. I told him I hoped not, because who we had become together was so much better. He just held my hand tighter and never once let it go.